If you are looking for Ultimate Team coins, I have the place for you. Head on over to easymuckcoin.com where you can purchase coins for as little as $45 a mil. I did not stutter. Link is in the description. Use code GS for 5% off. What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Madden 21 video. Hopefully you guys are doing fantastic. So there's a debate going on Twitter that I'm seeing a lot of people bring up today, talking about Madden 20 versus Madden 21, where majority of the people are saying that they prefer last year's variation of gameplay compared to this year. Now, I think we can all agree, for those who are into Ultimate Team, that content has been really good the past previous years. Like, absolutely phenomenal. Can't say too much negative things about content. You know, both games are, relatively pretty good when it comes to content wise. They give you, a lot of dope things to do. You can, this year they definitely did some fantastic things for the grinders, since I went ahead and started the whole no money spent squadron. There was some really good opportunities to get some good cards for, not being able to spend any money, via house rules and all that stuff. So, content on both sides are really well. Last year's was good. This year was good as well. Gameplay wise, I prefer Madden 21 over Madden 20, and I'm just going to get my opinion, and I'm going to tell you why. Even though Madden 21 was definitely a lot more repetitious, when you face a lot of the same stuff in Madden 21. A lot of the same stuff. Now, I play way more squads than I do head to head. I usually just play head to head whenever I'm recording for a gameplay, getting a YouTube video for you guys. Outside of that, if I'm not recording, I'll do house rules and stuff like that. But I won't just boot up a head to head seasons and play just to play. This year, it's the exact same thing over and over. It's Mike Blitz over and over again. It's very repetitive. You got people shooting the A gap. You got people user blitzing. You got people 95% of the time this year, you are facing the exact same defense. Offense, you've seen some different things. Offense, you definitely seen some different things. But defensively, you pretty much were going to face a lot of the same defense. Just ongoing, the exact same thing. But in Madden 20, it was a lot of the same thing as well. I really feel like them with the active starting Dickerson was atrocious. It was broken. Whether you was playing squads or head to head, you had to deal with that. It was rough. There were games where I could not get him inactive. I just couldn't. The one time I happened to get my meat hooks on him in the backfield, of course he would break the tackle and reach the line of scrimmage or fall forward and stay active. There were the games where that man started active and finished active. It was rough. It was a headache. Both of them have their flaws. Both of them definitely have a lot of negative things. But the reason why I prefer Madden 21 is just literally one reason. One function is the only reason why I would take Madden 21 over Madden 20. And it's zone drops. Zone drops is an absolute phenomenal, amazing feature that has been added in the game. Zone drops can really be the difference between stopping an offensive play or having trouble with it. If you have correct zone drops and you take a look at your opponent's tendencies and what he likes to do and where he's trying to go, you can set up your zone drops and absolutely take everything away from him. And I love it. That one function alone makes this Madden better than Madden 20, in my opinion, Because last year, if you came out and you faced Pat Sales, right, and that was just two stock crossing routes, it was hell. Purples aren't going to stop it. Clouds aren't going to stop it. Flats aren't going to stop it. Match coverage ain't going to stop it. There's no real zones to stop that. And man-to-man was definitely nowhere near as good as it was this year. This year, man-to-man was viable for pretty much the entire year, right? Because you had your very beginning, you had your bench press that was OP at the beginning. Then everyone started, once that got raised up in AP, everyone started to go on ahead and go with the man-to-man with one step ahead meta and all that stuff. But man-to-man this year was hell. But last year, like, you couldn't run man-to-man. You couldn't. But anyway, just a stock crossing route was like so tough to deal with. You had, like, now I can just put a purple to 20 and know that crosser is not going to be able to be open, right? As soon as it hits the middle of the field, once he gets near the sideline, I have someone right there waiting to go on ahead and pick that pass off if he attempts to throw to it. If he likes to go low, I can put my zones to 5. I can set it to 10. I can set my hook zones on 3rd and 15 to 15 to just sit there at the first down marker and wait as we just get dashboard. Maybe Madden 20 is better. This never happened on Madden 20. Just waiting for, a low ball in route or out route or something like that. Like, zone drops are absolutely phenomenal, and I love it. I think it's, one of the best things that Madden has ever introduced. Now, Madden has introduced some absolute stupidity things gameplay-wise, like the whole ag feature. I don't like the YXA. I don't like the rack, the possession catch. Back in the older Maddens, and I'm showing my age here as I have to turn off the game volume because I don't want that music in the beginning. Back when I was first really getting good at Madden, playing online, you had to look through the depth chart and see who had high enough awareness to keep their feet in bounds near the sidelines. Like, you literally had to know who your one guy was. If you were lucky, maybe you had two. But only awareness would keep someone from keeping their feet in bounds near the sidelines. You know how now if you were to throw a crossing route, you can trigger the animation, you can hold A, and he's going to tiptoe, keep his feet in bounds every single time. But before, you couldn't manually trigger that animation. There was only specific players that could do that. And if you threw it to the sidelines and your guy had, 66 awareness, he would not keep his feet in bounds. He would go out of bounds. But if you found someone with 82 awareness, it's like, okay, this is my sideline guy. Little things like that are, a learning curve. That right there is going to separate someone from, from winning and losing. Knowing your depth chart. Like, I hate the whole acting, throw it up, hold wide. Like, if you make a bad read, you can hold wide. Everybody does that, right? We all do that. I make 1,000 bad reads a game. You make a bad read, what do? You hold Y and pray that, not really he's going to come down with the catch, right? But you hold Y and just hope, just get your hands on it and make it an incomplete pass, right? Oh, my Lord, I threw a Stevie. We all hold Y, right? Why? Because we want the incomplete pass. We want to go up, hopefully get our hands on it, and hopefully it falls to the ground and it's an incomplete pass. I don't like that. I hate it. But they introduced some really good stuff, some useful things. I think the double team mechanic is phenomenal. If you got someone that's killing you on the defensive line, you can now choose to double team someone. And I think that's great. Going on forward, every year we should have the double team feature, and little things like that are, I believe, what's going to make the game better. I believe the double team feature is a step in the right direction. That's something that's good. The zone drops are something that's phenomenal. Like, really, really think about how great zone drops are. Unless you run man-to-man every single play. But even then, most people, they have their purples when they run man-to-man. They usually don't leave their safeties in over the top. They might put their safeties in a hard flat cloud or hook zone or whatever. And you utilize the zone drops, right, to take away the deeper plays. And zone drops are like one of the greatest defensive features I think they've ever introduced. The AP system, I love. I'm all for it. Last year, if you take a look at how the AP structure is this year, last year you had four abilities towards the end of the year, right? I had your Davion Clowney with pass rush elite, edge threat elite, um, inside stuff, and I would go between like enforcer or something like that. And last year, a lot of the abilities were like broken. There was no cap to it. Slot-O-Matic worked everywhere down the field. It worked between 1 yard all the way up to 99. I would put someone on a drag. I would reroute him straight over the middle. I would throw it over him about 15, 20 yards on a reroute. Hold X and know that he was going to hold on to it every single time because he was active with Slot-O-Matic. This year, they made sure that's not the case. If I exceed 10 yards, even with Slot-O-Matic, the ability is going to be non-active. But like this year, you can go on ahead and you can just have two outside tackles active with edge protectors. You can have a running back active. You can have a wide receiver active with just one ability. You can have one ability on everybody if you wanted to. I love the AP system this year. I definitely prefer it over last year's system, and I think it's a step in the right direction. Again, this is just all opinion based. Do I think both games were like phenomenal, great? Like, no, by far from some of the better Maddens that I've ever played, but I think we're getting there. I'd much rather have the AP system, zone drops, no Dickerson compared to last year. Like, how many times did you really see people pass the ball last year? It wasn't much. It wasn't much. And when you did, you had to deal with, these crossing routes and these plays that were very difficult to stop because you couldn't really have your zones play far enough. In order for me, this is what I had to do to compensate and stop these routes. What it is, there was two different things that I had to do. One is I had to have my purples active with lurker. That way, because my purples will go to the sideline, but they would just stay about, default coverage, which is what, 10 yards maybe? Like, they didn't go that far. And if you tried to throw above him, I would click on, and with lurker, he would be able to jump up and pick the pass off. Without lurker, he had no chance. But if I had somebody tall and fast enough with lurker, I would click on and make a play. That was one option. The other option was just blitz. For most of the year, I was running 3-4 bear blitz, send everybody, and that was the defense. A very, very, very fast defensive scheme that was very high risk, high reward. I would send everybody. I would put both corners on. I would mix and match between man or like flats if I thought you wanted to get rid of the ball quickly. But I would mainly do like a cover two shell on one side of the field. On the other side of the field, I would use the other safety. I would send 7, and both corners had universal coverage, which was like broken because if you passed the ball and you caught it and my guy would tackle you, you would drop the ball every single time. Like, you wouldn't hold on to it. Unless you had like post flag elite or something like that, but you weren't getting the pass off. Like, you weren't going to run a post route because you would get sacked way before then. But I had universal coverage, enforcer. That way, if you dropped and you threw a pass underneath, I would go on ahead and absolutely destroy you. So I would have enforcer, universal coverage, tackle supreme. That way I couldn't get juked out. I couldn't get, you only could spin out. And the other one, I forgot what it was. But the defense was hell. But I had to do that because, one, if you pass the ball, like, it was just tough. This year there's way more passing, right? Because now you can have more ability. Like last year, nobody was activating alignment. Nobody. Because you can only choose 3 people on the side of the ball. That's it. 3. You can only choose 3. And if you chose your tackles, then, like, that's it. Like, you're hindering yourself. Like, but this year you can only, you can specifically just put, one ability on your tackles, and now you can deal with the edge. Like last year, we had to deal with edge threats and pass rush elites with no active O-line. You'd be a fool to activate your O-line because you can only do 3 people. I prefer the AP system this year. I prefer, like, again, zone drops are one of the most like greatest things, defensive features they've added this year. This is the most passing. Like when I face a runner, I'm just like I'm shook. Like you don't face them often this year. Even I don't really run the ball, and I've had a running scheme in Madden for the past several years. But this year, I'm more of a passer than I am a runner because this meta is more open to passing than it is rushing, and I prefer the game to be that way. Passing the ball, this year, even though with zone drops and stuff like that, makes it tougher and whatnot. But passing is definitely more of a meta than it is, running. Last year was a heavy run scheme. This year, you face more passing more often than not. And it's a game that I prefer. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on it. Again, zone drops are really the only reason why I would choose Madden 21. I feel like that feature is going to go down as one of the greatest features ever added in Madden. Like, whew, zone drops are so phenomenal. Like, it can really, really, really separate, someone. Like, there's definitely a skill gap between zone drops. Because if you never, ever, ever set your zone drops and then you learn, how to scheme around it, you learn how to adapt to your opponent, you learn, where he wants to go, and you make the necessary adjustments to it, and then he goes to that same play, but this time you have your purple set to 25, and he goes to that same route, and this time is absolutely putting a snuggie. You pick the pass off, and it's like, yeah, we knew you wanted that. We took it away. Last year you couldn't do that. Someone wanted a 25-yard curl. I mean, a 25-yard crossing route. Like, good luck without having Lurker on the field, on near the sidelines, because wasn't nobody jumping that. It was rough. You had to cross man guys in order to try and keep it contained because it was rough. But anyways, let me know your thoughts and opinions. I would love to know. We're back with gameplay later on tomorrow. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to that. It's your boy GS. We're gonna go ahead and be signing out. Appreciate the love and support as always, fellas. Peace.